When Colonel Sanders was 5 years old, his father, who was a butcher, died. He did not like his new life and dropped out of school in 7th grade, and at the age of 13, he ran away from home. To survive, he did many jobs, like he worked at a farm. He worked as a bus conductor. He joined the military, cleaned railroads, became a fireman, studied law, and became a lawyer. He became a ferry boat operator, worked at a local chamber of commerce, and even tried his luck on tires and became a tire salesman. That's not just all. He even opened a gas station, which was a failure. He opened a restaurant on a highway, which initially got success but eventually was closed due to highway construction. Till the age of 62, he was a failure, and his life was nothing much than just events of bad luck and failures. Until he developed some secret recipe which he called Kentucky Fried Chicken. This secret recipe changed the life of Colonel Sanders, and there was no turning back. Want to know how a failed Colonel Sanders was able to make a secret recipe at the age of 62 and revolutionize the food industry? Watch the full video. Colonel Sanders, the orphan boy who made KFC's secret recipe. We at Business Chronicles tell the stories of extraordinarily successful people. Please subscribe to our channel to help us in making more videos. Born Harlan David Sanders on September 9, 1890. Sanders was the oldest child of Wilbur David and Margaret Ann Sanders. The family lived in a 4-room house in Henryville, Indiana. Sanders' parents were devout Christians. His mother in particular kept warning Sanders that tobacco, alcohol, and gambling were evils. Sanders' father worked as a farmer, then a butcher. Sadly, he died in 1895 when Sanders and his 2 other siblings were still young. Sanders' mother went to work at a tomato cannery. She would leave Sanders at home to take care of his siblings and cook for them. This is when he began developing his cooking skills. By 1897, at age 7, Sanders had gained some skills with meat and was good at working with vegetables and bread. In 1902, Sanders' mother remarried and took the family to Greenwood, Indiana. Sanders worked on a farm while attending school. In 1903, he dropped out of school at 7th grade. He had a difficult relationship with his stepfather, so in 1903, aged 13 years, he left home and moved to Indianapolis. In his teens and his 20s, Sanders worked a variety of jobs. He started in Indianapolis painting horse carriages, but later took up work as a farmhand. In 1906, he moved to New Albany, Indiana to live with his uncle, who worked at a streetcar company. His uncle secured him a position as a conductor. In October 1906, Sanders joined the U.S. Army aged 16 years. He had to falsify his documents to join. He worked as a wagoner for the Army and was even sent to Cuba. He was discharged honorably in 1907, receiving the Cuban Pacification Medal. Upon his discharge, Sanders moved to Sheffield, Alabama. There, his uncle secured him a job as a blacksmith's helper. He moved again to Jasper, Alabama, where he worked at a railroad, dusting the ash pans of trains. He later found work as a fireman for 3 years, then proceeded to the Norfolk and Western Railroad in 1909. It was here that he began studying law at night through LaSalle Extension University. Sanders began a legal practice in Little Rock after his studies. He worked as a lawyer for 3 years before a courtroom fight with his client dented his reputation. He was forced to move back to Henryville, where his mother still stayed. In the following years, Sanders worked as a railroad laborer, insurance salesman, ferry boat operator, secretary at a local chamber of commerce, and tire salesman. He even established an acetylene lamp manufacturing company, but it closed shop after Delco introduced electric lamps. In 1930, aged 40, Sanders got into a deal with the Shell Oil Company to manage a fuel service station in North Corbin, Kentucky. Sanders would operate the station rent-free and in exchange pay Shell Oil a percentage of all sales. To make ends meet while running the station, he converted his living quarters into a mini food outlet and started serving customers chicken dishes, ham, and steak. His station gained a reputation for serving great chicken. In 1934, Sanders assumed control of an adjacent pure oil filling station with greater road visibility and began serving fried chicken to motorists. It was at this time that he enrolled for an 8-week course in restaurant management at Cornell University School of Hotel Administration. Soon, his restaurant was doing so well, he closed the service station and focused on serving chicken. In 1936, Sanders was awarded the honorary title of Kentucky Colonel by the state governor Ruby LaFoon. In 1937, Sanders rebuilt his North Corbin restaurant as a motel with a restaurant that could sit 140 guests. He began tinkering with his chicken recipe, experimenting with a variety of ingredients to create the perfect recipe. He also looked for a more efficient way of frying his chicken. Pan frying took a lot of time, hence was not sustainable. Deep frying was faster, but according to Sanders, it produced dry, unevenly cooked chicken. It wasn't until 1939, when Sanders modified a pressure cooker and began frying his chicken in it, that he found a way to make chicken quickly while preserving quality. By 1940, Sanders had finalized his world-famous secret recipe of 11 herbs and spices. He also presented his method of pressure frying chicken. Following these achievements, Sanders' restaurant gained prominence and was loved by travelers. However, because it relied so much on motorists, it was greatly affected by the Interstate 75 route change that took traffic away from North Corbin. In 1955, at age 65, Sanders had to sell the restaurant at a loss. Before selling his restaurant, though, Sanders had managed to franchise his secret chicken recipe to Pete Harmon from South Salt Lake, Utah. He did this in 1952. Harmon operated a large restaurant in Utah and loved the idea of serving a Southern chicken dish that espoused Southern hospitality. He advertised the new menu addition outside his restaurant. It was a sign painter named Don Anderson that coined the title Kentucky Fried Chicken. In his maiden year of selling Sanders' Kentucky Fried Chicken, Harmon's sales went up over 300%. Most of the sales were from the fried chicken. Sanders saw an opportunity to franchise his secret recipe. From 1956, he traveled to restaurants across the country offering to cook chicken for staff, and if they liked it, he would cook chicken for the restaurant's customers for a couple of days. The restaurant's customers would enjoy the chicken so much that their owners would negotiate a franchise deal with Sanders. Sanders gave franchisees right to sell his chicken recipe and took 4 cents per chicken sold. Sanders' method of franchising was slow and tiring, but it worked. By 1960, Sanders had about 200 franchises. By 1963, the number had grown to exceed 600. Sanders' fried chicken franchise business was a huge success. However, it was growing faster than he could manage it. Potential franchisees were contacting him for a deal, but he was not young and energetic anymore. In 1964, age 74, Sanders could not keep up with the business demands. Lacking an obvious heir within his family, he decided to sell the business to John Brown Jr., a salesman, and Jack Massey, a private business financier. He sold the company for $2 million and received a lifetime salary of $40,000 a year. He, however, remained as the company's brand ambassador and quality controller. Colonel Sanders spent the remainder of his years as an active ambassador for Kentucky Fried Chicken. He traveled more than 200,000 miles a year making appearances on its behalf and filming commercials in his iconic white suit and black string tie. The new owners, on their part, standardized the franchise's operations and embarked on an international expansion drive. By 1970, the chain was in 48 countries and boasted 3,000 outlets. In 1971, John Brown sold Kentucky Fried Chicken to Hubline, a company that made packaged foods and drinks. Sanders had a rocky relationship with Hubline. The two almost sued each other. In 1973, KFC under Hubline almost sued Sanders after he established a restaurant named Colonel Sanders Dinner House in Shelbyville, Kentucky. Hubline held that they owned the rights to the name Colonel Sanders. Sanders, on his part, tried suing Hubline for using his brand to sell food products he had not developed. The two settled out of court. Sanders kept his restaurant, even selling the original KFC recipe, but under the name Claudia Sanders Dinner House. Claudia was his wife. In 1980, Sanders died of pneumonia. He was age 90. His body lay in the Kentucky State Capitol following his funeral service. He was buried in Cave Hill Cemetery in Louisville. Colonel Sanders founded the Colonel Harlan Sanders Charitable Organization and the Colonel Sanders Trusts. The two aided charities and funded education scholarships benefiting students in need. The trusts also supported children's hospitals in Canada. The Mississauga Hospital for Women and Children even named a wing Colonel Harlan Sanders Family Care Center in honor of his substantial donations. Colonel Sanders had a very tough life. He lost his father at a very early age. His mother worked hard for survival. He did not like his stepfather. Apart from such horrible beginnings, his career was full of failures, and at the age of retirement, he got a breakthrough, and his picture is seen in thousands of KFC outlets around the world. His life story tells us that it does not matter how bad your beginnings, it does not matter how long it takes. If you keep trying till the end, someday you will be able to make it like Colonel Sanders did. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel to watch more videos like this.